I was about to say, woo, hopefully the recorder ain't on then.
Excuse
All right.
me?
Hey, guys. That's how we're going to start today. So, welcome back to our dojo here. We got Steven, me, Brad, and Kim here to start it off. And we're just going to get into it. I'm sure we'll hit something deep here.
Actually, I know you had an idea, but I wanted to start off.
Okay.
Kim, it's been a while since you've been in here because you've been having a great week. You've been doing great.
I have.
So it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yes. How have things been going?
Good.
Good.
Thanks.
What has been different?
Out of the blue, I got 3 in one day last week.
Uh-huh.
And really, I was able to help them. It's just an off season, and it's, August is hard, and a lot of people are already on the best one, or there's no qualification, no SEP. So that's kind of what I was running into. And then you just kind of feel like it's been really the draw the hat, and it's like, oh, yay, I can help this person. Right. So I will.
Yeah, that's kind of, I didn't mean to interrupt, it's been a while since she's been here, but I thought that was cool because, you do have those days where you just can't let up.
Right.
Like it's not that you have a bad day. It's just you were talking to people and we just couldn't help them. And you didn't give up. You didn't complain. You're like, okay, another day, we're going to find something. And then you did. And now you're starting to get some people that you're helping a lot. Mm-hmm. So that's good. So I just wanted to recognize that.
Well, thanks.
Doing great.
Thanks.
Sorry, you may continue now.
Okay, so this idea is trademarked. This is what I wanted to say. It's officially trademarked by me here. I'll co-own with Brad too here. It's a sunshade for your car that is installed in like the carpet in the roof.
In the inside?
In the inside. So when you park your car, you hit a button, the sunshade goes down.
Uh-huh.
And
then it just opens up?
Nice.
Well, no, you could have it like the whole length. Like you could buy a sunshade for your home with that width, custom made, mount it up there and just have tracks on the side and remote control button. Boom.
Because Brad had to buy his own dimensions.
Yeah, I had to get one custom for the truck because it's just.
Oh yeah, mine is hilarious. It's way too big for my windshield.
See?
And it looks so silly. I'm all just shoving stuff in there.
It's find a need and fill it. That's the whole concept.
Yeah.
You get your brain thinking. There's a lot of things out there and all this stupid little things. It's like, why didn't I invent that?
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking about that stuff. The guy invented the paperclip.
Yeah.
So many simple things out there, but you have to develop that mindset even with what we do and not reinvent the wheel, but you have to be innovative and creative sometimes, when you get people on the phone and you have to do it off the cuff. You have to be quick on the,
That's what makes the job, and that's what makes the job fun, but it also makes it really hard. Because if you are getting, like just going back to your example, if you're getting, client or customer after customer that we just can't help, it's going to be tiring, It's like, oh man. So if you come to a potential and you're not ready, if you're not on top of your game, you're going to miss an opportunity.
True.
So it is, I applaud it that we said before, but it can be exhausting.
Yeah.
Just, not a miss, but like just can't help. That's what makes AP so great.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason.
Yeah.
It's funny is that's really why I brought this up because thinking creatively.
Yeah.
Here, Penny, I'm sure she'll be in here in a minute. She just kind of had one of those calls here where she was just in a rut of Advantage plan. That's all she's talking to, Advantage plan. She flicked off the supplemental side of her brain. So one of the ladies that we were chatting with, she's just on Medicare, A and B. She's 71, doesn't have a drug plan. She just pays for cash for her lisinopril, goes to her doctors. She says she gets bills, but she has a company that takes care of her finances and does all this other stuff. But anyway, so she immediately goes, okay, I need to get this lady into an Advantage plan. And she starts talking about Advantage plan. So I message her on Slack and I'm like, first off, what SEP do you have?
Right.
You don't have one. She doesn't have an Advantage plan. She goes, oh yeah, you're right. And I'm like, second off, You should be talking supplemental when they say, I just have A and B.
Always.
Oh, boy.
I only have A and B. And I'm like, you should be foaming at the mouth
Yeah.
because you don't have to worry about some dumb scope of appointment.
Right.
You don't have to worry if they have an email or this is their cell phone, whatever it is. You're good.
Yeah. No
You-
SCP worry.
Yeah, no SCP. I mean, the only thing underwriting.
But that's a different world.
Yeah.
You can figure that out as you go.
Exactly. So that's why with her, I had to hop on the phone and kind of help her out there. But this lady, the way I do it, kind of the way like I like to teach people too, is you want to bring up every possible scenario that they can have and then whittle it down to, look, this is your only option. Because that's how we close.
Funnel it down.
Yeah, exactly. You have to start broad and work your way down. So for her, I had her go over the options with this lady. Say, okay, look, you just have A and B. You don't have a drug plan. If you go and get a plan that does have drugs, you're going to have to pay extra. You're going to have this penalty here. It's going to be with you for the rest of your life. Luckily, you're only on lisinopril and you take over the counter stuff. It's not expensive. And you're only 71. So you're probably looking at $24.
If that.
$4 a year.
Yeah. So $24 added on a month. Okay. Also, budget for her wasn't really too much of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So explain that to her. Explain, okay, look, these are your options you have with your healthcare. Right now, if you go and get $1 million worth of work done, you're going to be responsible for $200,000. Okay. That's what you have right now. But you do have two other options. Option number one, we went over the Advantage plan. Just because there's no health questions, just telling her what it is. Like, look, so they have Advantage plans that are, a lot of them are $0 premium that are contracted through a private company. So you no longer have Medicare. You now have, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
AARP, Cigna, whatever it is. That's what you have. And going through there, and she was like, okay, that sounds okay. And go, all right, option number two, you can get a supplemental plan. And the way they work is instead of being $0, you pay your premium amount so you don't have to pay when the bills come. She's like, oh, I really like that.
Allows you to budget.
And immediately that's when you go, okay, that is what I recommend as well. And you take it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
You go, but you have to qualify for it.
Right.
I don't know if you can. And guess what she said? Oh, yeah, I want to see if I can qualify. That sounds great. Okay. Let me just go through some of these conditions with you. Now, it does turn out that she got diagnosed with congestive heart failure last month.
Oh.
And this week she got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh.
So
Where does she live?
It's middle of the country somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't think. But so for her, you go through and you're like, look, this is what, she wanted that supplement. She wanted it. And that's not even going into how it works, how, go get a piece of paper, just a brief rundown of her options.
Mm-hmm.
Where if she qualified for it, I would have said, you just go through just some health questions, just not really, my health questions. Are you like diabetic?
Right.
How's your health been? Type of questions just to get a nice understanding and then go from there. Okay, go get a piece of paper. I'm going to show you how this plan works. And then start. But for her, with having the rheumatoid and the congestive heart failure,
She's had some hefty bills.
she's had some bills.
Or she's gonna, since she was just diagnosed too, so it was probably scary for her to hear what that 20% could run.
And, you have to write these people and do what you can, because I had one, she needed to be 2 years past her TIA. And she didn't get back to me yesterday. Called her today. Oh yeah, past 2 years. It was, June 27th. 20th. Great. Let's go in. We'll do the application with Cigna. She had some stuff going on, but we were able to get it done for standard 2. Well, she was at the doctor yesterday. Now she's on 3 more diabetic medications, and they found out she's stage 3 kidney disease. This all transpired within a few days here. Where she was looking good before, but we got a couple days. You really have to reiterate with people, look, you don't have a whole lot of time here. You're healthy now. You might not be healthy tomorrow or the next day. But today we can do this, so this delay business, I have a doctor's appointment waiting, I want to get that done first and then we'll talk. No, do not do that.
And I remind people
It's,
too that it's not always about your health. You can go out today to the grocery store and get in an accident.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it would disqualify you from ever being able to get a supplement or change, or, or you might trip and fall. I mean, you just don't know. So, I'm healthy, I don't need that. No, you do.
Going back,
You're not a wizard.
Yeah, you don't know.
can't see the, you're not
Yeah,
a
we don't
predict
put
the
the
future.
but, going back to the innovative thing and how can we apply that in what we do? I have to give a shout out to Jacob because you came up with this, who takes care of you? For final expenses. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, that's just an example of you're thinking outside the box and thinking, what's a good lead in to get people emotionally involved in the decision. And that's how we have to start thinking. It's those little things like that can make all the difference in the world. I mean, just one little sentence can change the whole thing.
I think it's not having an agenda on how a call goes. And that just comes with years of experience too, because you're always going to, every call we do, it's going to follow a script somehow, some way. Mm-hmm. Everything that's in that script is going to be asked on that call. Mm-hmm. Or if we already know it too, so I can say if it's the current one. But it's kind of the ability to go off a little bit. Like with that lady there, and you have to know why you do certain things. That's why a lot of successful people stay successful. And that is how people who aren't successful, once you learn, that's why you asked this question. Mm-hmm. Oh, asking that question got me to here? Okay. Well, then let me find the next question to ask so I can get above that too. That's really where the money is. Because there's a reason that we could have just told her, look, you don't have an SEP. Let me set you an appointment for October. I'll call you then. You don't qualify for a supplemental plan. Sorry. That's what everybody else wants to do because you can't do anything to help her right now. But when you start that funnel and you go from wide down to this is your option, at the end of it, there's no, does that sound good? Is that okay? We got to enroll? There's none of that. But you have the knowledge and you have the expertise and you can have that ability to say, look, I can go over everything, but we're going to have one answer by the time we're done here. And you're going to know this is what is best for you. And it's not just that phone call. I had one like that yesterday, like you were talking about, Kim, where, and you too, Brad, where it's not always about the money. There are sometimes it's about the health. Where I had people get some rate increases where it was about $20 difference a month, which then again too, you're like, yeah, it's like $240. And the husband was like, yeah, I don't know. And the wife was like, do it because you're healthy enough to do it.
Oh, wow. Smart.
And I go, I was like, you got a good one there. You better go change your
You
pants.
better use that $240 to take her out to dinner.
Yeah, maybe buy her something.
Yes.
But
Buy her a pair of no pants.
that's well, she wears them.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But like that's how you convey that expertise. It's just like her, like they've been on Medicare for 6 or 7 years. I've been working with them here too, and they pretty much know the game. They're not loyal to anybody. They're loyal to the plan G, not the company. And so if somebody is lower and they can qualify, they're like, yeah, go ahead, let's do it. But for her, she knows that deep down because we've talked about it. Mm-hmm. People are afraid to talk about the negative stuff. And I still, this goes back to you and me talking about disability, where nobody asked, why are you disabled?
Right.
How did you become disabled?
Very important.
What did you do before you were disabled?
Yeah.
The successful agents are trying to find that out. The other agents just go, oh, you're on disability? Okay, when did that start? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been past 2 years. Why don't you have your Medicare? Well, maybe they never worked. Maybe they been disabled since birth and they're 45.
Maybe they're not even really disabled. They got a slick lawyer so they can get money.
Exactly.
And we're talking about savings too. We tend to forget, the experienced agents don't, but it's like, let's use that $20 a month, What we always forget is that you're not just saving $240 for the year, but like if you were to stay on your plan for the rest of your life, that plan is going to continue to have rate increases. And so you're not just saving 240 for the year, you're saving exponentially, because as your new plan gets rate increases, you're still going to be lower than what you currently have with your rate increase. So you are saving 240 times X because you are on a plan that you are now officially at that rate for the rest of your life. So the rate increases over time are still going to be exponentially lower than if you stayed on your plan and had those rate increases over time. And people forget that. And that's what I always say to them. It's like, look, we're saving you money now, but we're actually saving money for you because these rate increases, it's just the nature of the business. We want you to be in this supplement plan because you and I both know that health deteriorates and we don't want to pay those bills. And so you're not only saving for the year, for the policy year, but you're saving exponentially over time. It is calculable, but because we can't predict rate increases, you're going to have money savings, and you're going to also have to not have to worry about those expensive rate increases on your current Medicare supplement. And then if you get sick, then you can't change. So that's why I always like to mention that, like, we're looking at savings tangibly, yes, but over time, it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Oh, yeah, but sometimes
exactly
I get the
what I
question,
said on that
were
call
they going to
too.
jack me up just like so-and-so company? Well, it's a moot point because number one, it's going to take a long time to catch up to your other company. And if it's an obsolete entity, that thing's going to go up regardless because there isn't any new money coming into it.
Yeah.
So, people have to understand this is not a one and done, with any of it, Medicare supplements or Advantage plans. It's something that has to be constantly looked at and, worked. And that's what we do here.
Yeah.
Especially me. That's the whole game. You got to keep people on the books. That's where it's at.
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation for us to have. We've done it our whole lives in our careers as a Medicare agent, but it's a difficult conversation because people's concepts of insurance are predicated on being on a group. They have been employed. They take very little out because, the company is helping pay. They're healthy. They don't go to the doctor as much. And so now they're going from this, I work and I don't have to worry about my health or very little and I don't have to pay a lot for it, to I am now the sole proprietor of my insurance. And now not only am I the sole proprietor, but I'm going to get unhealthy as time progresses. And these carriers reap the benefits off of that, unfortunately. So what we have to discuss with them is, look, you have the best insurance you will ever have. But this is the price that you have to pay. And it is my job to let you know that this is the best insurance that you're going to have. But this is the budget that you have to budget for. Because when you do that, you'll never have to worry about insurance again. And as you get older and health starts to deteriorate, you don't have to worry about it. You can go to the doctor. You can go to the specialist. I've been healthy my whole life. Okay? Knocking on wood. But I have a very high level of cancer in my family. Very high level. My mom passed away from it. My dad had colon cancer twice. So I'm going to probably have some type of, like, my doctor's like, you're coming in for I said this before, you're coming in for a colonoscopy 5 years early. You don't need it till 50 because your parents had cancer past 50, but because they both had it and they had it like a excess amount of it, that we got to get you in early. So I know that as I get older, that's going to be a concern of mine.
Now, somebody like you, do you have a cancer policy?
Oh, I was
I
just
don't.
going to say
I
that.
was going to say, because I have one myself.
Yeah.
Just in case, because when you look at the statistics, it's high for cancer.
Yeah.
And, for men, especially like prostate cancer, they might say, you know what, you'll die of something else. We don't have to do anything.
Right.
You get the money.
Yeah.
You just need the diagnosis.
Yeah.
So they're inexpensive. It's a good thing. You might consider it.
You know what?
I'll sell you one.
Well, let's talk. We'll talk offline.
But, that's another area, and it's just a conversation. How's your family history doing? You got this and that. You have to get the whole picture because we can't make an educated decision until we get the information input.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at other options, ancillary products or whatever, in the whole picture, really, if we have to do underwriting,
Yeah.
we need a lot of information from the client,
Mhm.
and we need the trust factor for them to divulge it to us.
Mhm.
So, but that, I mean, that's looking at the whole picture is what we strive for.
Yeah.
And I mean, his cancer policy. I had one client. She called me up, Brad. I'm gonna have to cash in my cancer policy. I'm like, oh no, what happened? Well, went to the doctor. They're giving me 2 months to live.
No way.
And I'm just like, oh geez, it breaks my heart. But thing is, she was able to cash in her policy before she died, and it was $25 a month. She was able to get 10 grand, give it to her daughter for her funeral.
Uh-huh.
So versus like 75, for a final expense policy, it's 25, and she gets that,
5. Yeah.
it's rare that, she was able to get that and reap it before, but, it happens, and they give you the money, you show them the diagnosis. So,
They just cut you a check.
yeah, I mean,
That's
there's
right.
agents out there, that's all they sell, cancer
Yeah.
policies, and they get.
Oh yeah.
They're cheap.
Yeah, they're
25,
cheap.
25,
It's a cheap thing.
what is it? $25 a month will get you like 15 to 20,000.
And
Well, what's the commission? Is that 110 like a final expense?
it's,
There's not a it's
It's
an
not a whole
it's an
lot.
upfront commission. It's not
Okay.
a whole
yeah, I
lot
mean,
of
you're
that.
gonna make, it's not like $30 or whatever, but
Mhm.
depending on your percentage or,
or benefit. Which is,
Gotcha.
but a lot of it, and kind of what Brad's talking about too, is that's again, hate to say we're kind of flirting with the line with good agent and great agent. There's a reason we ask questions. There's a reason we ask about health conditions before we go into any part of the presentation, because a lot of those people, when I'll say, okay, now just so I can kind of get an idea, this is what majority of the companies look for. Let me run through some of these with you. Okay, number one, have you ever had any cancer treatments?
Mhm.
You would do exactly what you just said. Is no, I don't. But it runs in my family.
Right.
Then you would talk about your mom passing away.
Right.
And you would talk about your dad with having cancer twice.
Right.
All in the meanwhile, I'm notating that in my head.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe he should look at a cancer policy.
Yeah.
I'll put that in here. I'll set it
Right.
up here. Okay.
Right.
Next, diabetes. Do you have diabetes?
Uh-huh.
No. Go through the list. But then whenever you're doing your presentation, that's something that you can kind of factor into. That's like, look, not only do I want to help you with your healthcare, but the way that you reacted when I asked you that question, you obviously
It's a concern of mine.
you are very concerned with
Yeah.
this. You have a need
Yeah.
for this.
I do.
Let me help you with this here.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, but this is also as important as well.
Yeah.
And that's without ever saying, oh yeah, cancer runs in my family. Oh, well, have you ever heard of a cancer policy?
Right. Right.
No. It's not how you're.
And I would not be receptive to that at all.
Yeah, that's just like people are like, okay, are you diabetic? No. Okay, you have kidney disease? No. All right. Do you have a burial policy? No. Okay. Do you have a dental policy? No. It's like, stop.
Yeah.
Actually listen
Yeah.
to what they're saying. Because a lot of people, when you ask them those questions, when you're doing, T65 presentations, when you're doing underwriting, they'll let you know if it runs in the family.
Yeah.
Or I'll ask, does it run in the family too?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people it does. It's just becoming more and more prevalent. It is.
Yeah, and these are good conversations to have during open enrollment.
Mhm.
Even though there technically isn't any medical questions, you could still get the histories, see
Yeah.
what's going on, and say, well, you probably should take a look at this. This is
Yeah.
what I recommend that you do. And present those things because, it's things that we tend to get away from sometimes. Because we get single-minded. And I do that a lot too because. Medicare supplements are really the bread and butter, but there's a lot left on the table, when it comes to different things, and you just have to uncover it.
But I don't know what you guys are saying. Like I told you that family history because I trust you guys. It's just like family here. But if I'm talking to somebody and they do what you do, and you're showing a genuine concern, like does it run in the family? Like you're not trying to ask me because you want to sell a cancer policy.
I'm not trying to. I'm genuinely not trying to find you something to sell.
Right.
I'm actually concerned.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, the placement of these questions is very critical.
Correct.
You have to do it in the right spot, in the right order, in the right emotional, part of it. You just can't blurt stuff that, it has to be done in the right order.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, it's funny too. When I was helping Penny on that call, I had to kind of get in her ear too, because I was like, look, this is where you need to transition to. We already went over the supplement stuff. I did the takeaway. It's like, but I don't know if you qualify for a supplement. We have to figure this out first. And so I was like, okay, go through your health questions. Go through your health questions. She goes, okay, perfect. Do you have diabetes? And I'm like, no, like this is the wrong inflection. Wrong inflection. Stop. She was like, okay, any history of cancer or cancer treatments? And I'm like, this is not a happy, stop.
No whammies, no whammies.
Like exactly. But like, that's how it is. And I'm like, it's all about tone. This was a serious thing that we just did. We cast our net wide.
Yeah.
We're funneling it down. We have your best option. And then I rip it away from you. And I say, but I don't know if you qualify. I need to see if you can qualify. So when you're asking those questions, it's not a happy questionnaire.
Yeah.
It's not. That's why tone and inflection is so important, because even when I'm doing those, you need those dramatic pauses. You need to, the way you say it has to resonate with them. To where it's not like, okay, let me run through a list here. Diabetes. It's no. This is why I need this information, because I don't know if I can help you or not.
I simplified even more. When I started those questions, like, I'm going to qualified. Let's just start very simple. How's your heart? How's your heart go? How's your heart feeling? Like, I'm not like, do you have any congestive heart failure? Do you have any,
Bradycardia, tachycardia, any
yeah.
instances in the last two?
How's your heart? Any having heart issues?
then you have to go through the medical questions anyway.
Yeah.
I just went through, but you just asked me stuff. I go through the medications.
Yeah.
What kind of medications they have you on? And they'll always talk about that. Oh, I got this and that. I'm on this blood thinner Eliquis. It's super expensive, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you have some heart stuff going on? Why do you take that? And it just leads in, it's more, it gives us good information, number one, but they're more open in telling it. If we just come out and say, well, have you had a heart attack, you had this and that, you had diabetes.
So you're saying you lead your health questions with asking about medications
I get the
first.
medications first, because I can look at somebody's med list and say, okay, they have this, 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 and this. They're going to have to go with this company, so that's the way I'm going to go. Mm-hmm. And they're open
That's
about that.
that's advanced. You know that, right? Like that's
Well, I was going to say to each their own, because in certain situations like this, there are some things that you can miss. If you're just going off prescription alone, you can have cancer treatments and not be prescribed anything.
right.
Or you could be
Diabetic.
Or you could be taking something for a seizure disorder and you just have restless leg syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Like repenerol.
Exactly.
Or
You don't have Parkinson's, you have
Yeah,
restless
it's
You
leg.
don't have MS, you don't have Parkinson's,
Yeah.
you don't have all these.
Keppra, I just learned about Keppra. It's like one of the most safest medications for seizures. And it's like they give it to babies.
Yeah.
And so,
My sister takes it.
yeah, but I saw that you could take it for other things mentally as well.
Right.
So it's like that's why, I'm so,
You always have to ask why they take it.
And
Yeah.
by the way, when we're talking about, because you're talking about an extension of discovery right now.
Mhm.
And everyone that's watching this or will watch this, because I'm pretty sure there's only a few people watching it right now, but this will be a topic for later. You have to take the information that Brad just said in perspective of who Brad is and what he's been able to accomplish, right? There's a lot of things. I've only been in just for a few minutes, but I kind of got a gist of what you're talking about on here. Brad is so good at building the rapport and doing an actual long-term, like that wide net discovery at first point. They're absolutely comfortable telling you their medications first. That is a very rare occurrence. That's something even I can't do, because it's just not the way that I don't come off as like folksy as you do, right? That's just, I don't.
that's a good word.
He plays bass in the folksy band.
Right. Brad
Rock and roll.
is the cool old grandpa who used to be the guy that dad didn't want their daughter to date. He's cool, he has those stories, but at this point he's like, hey man, we're all good, we love each other. And that's the way, and by the way, so that there's that play in that. But there's something other, like we were talking about Penny and things like that. Tonality really does matter. And one of the things you guys were talking about earlier, and I think this might have been the context, is when you come in and go, well, what about this plan? What about this plan? What about this plan? That's a symptom of another problem, sales-based, which is society in general. and human interactions in general are degraded to talking points
Mm-hmm.
and very, very short things. And that's not the way conversations go. That's not the way rapport builds. And that's not the way discovery should go, right? You need to be kind of like Columbo, a detective, back in the old stuff, where these conversations have to be organic and they need to go where they're going to go. And just know that you, instead of going, what about this? No, just know that you're going to be bringing that up later.
Mhm.
But that goes into the tonality of it. And one of the things that I hear constantly when I listen to these calls is that there's no variance of tone. There's a reason there's a prepared statement. And there's a reason we put it in red in that statement saying, sound official when reading it.
Mhm.
You're supposed to break up. You, Kim, you are absolutely a delight to talk to. Amazing. Just, hey, happy. You elevate people when you talk to them.
Thank you.
There are times when you need to be serious. This is a serious thing that I'm talking about. I don't necessarily want to do it, but I got to do it. And that means you got to do it. And then they'll pay attention to exactly what you're saying, who it is. And health questions are another great thing about that.
Mhm.
I can early on go, hey, you don't take insulin or you're not diabetic, have heart conditions. Good. Okay, what are your medications? Great. Get all that. Then I can go on the selector questions. But then when it comes to those health questions, serious face.
Okay.
Everything done on it. I know how to pronounce all of them. I tell people, it's a production. These have time limits associated with them. Not all of them might be declined. I'll let you know if we need to switch to another company at that point, so they know it's already prepped. If you need me to slow down or repeat anything, let me know right away. If I need to explain what a condition is, I will do that as well. They love that because they go, oh, he really knows what he's talking about.
Mhm.
And then I go through and it is boom, boom, boom. This is serious. And plus, there's another secret to that. If you've been a pain in the ass the entire conversation, and I know that takeaway has to be real strong, I'm not going to go, in the past 5 years, have you been diagnosed with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, yes or no? I'm going to go, within this past 10 years, have you been diagnosed with A? Within the past 10 years, have you been diagnosed with B? Within the past, and if I hear Dojo, I need to know the answer. And by the way, I always throw this in at first. If you've never heard of it, you ain't got it. Doctor's going to tell you exactly what all this stuff is because it's serious. And they go, all right. So I think a lot of what we talk about is about inflection and how we speak to people.
Oh, you're so right. And in those medical questions, that is an art. You really have to listen and slow down and listen to their responses, because if they pause, it's like, oh yeah, okay, man. No, what happened there? What's going on? Do you have some? Well, a couple of years ago, I went to the doctor and they said my heartbeat's a little bit off. And, these are things we need to know because they're in the medical records more than likely. And it's not something you want to breeze through. You want to get through. You want to hear a bunch of no's. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, no. Okay, you're good. You're qualified. It's really, you have to weed it out because nobody likes declines.
Mhm.
If you don't weed this stuff out and you don't know all the information, it's a good chance it's going to get declined.
But you want to let me say this. You want to sound professional too. Like we had a girl one time that did that. She was just becoming an age on her own. She did her first set of health questions. She was like, "Okay, so I have some health questions for you here. Number one, are you currently contained to a wheelchair?" And I'm like, "What are you doing? This isn't fun." Like there's times to have fun in this conversation. And you did a good job when you get off the phone and you've got a couple sales, but you feel psychotic because your emotions just went like this, like the blood pressure.
Yes.
You want to feel like,
You feel elated and you feel drained.
yes. But when she was asking health questions like that, and it was a guy that was like 83, and I'm like, first off, do you think he might have been? But first off, are you going to take her seriously?
No.
These are this is your takeaway. This is what they have to do to qualify. This isn't happy go fun land. We're not at Six Flags here.
Imagine this too.
Yeah.
Imagine this like a serious question. Like, let's just, okay, do you have AIDS? And then they go, yes.
And then you go, oh.
Yeah.
Right. You need to be serious and you need to do it slowly. You need to do it with intent. You need to do these things important because that also, even in the greeting, man, people are always like so monotone in their greeting, and it drives it drives me crazy for the way I used to be, because I used to be the same way. But you have to have variance in what you're saying at everything. You have to display that you are a human being and you have a range of emotions, and that I'm choosing to be nice because I am interested in you and I am interested in what you do. And that means you can't be manic. You can't always just be on. It also means you can't be boring, and it means you can't just be an asshole in general.
It can't be eternally bubbly.
No, bubbly only gets you so far. Bubbly might get you in the door. It's not getting you to close the deal.
Yeah.
Everybody talks to the bubbly waitress that comes over. Hi, would you like to hear today's specials? And you're like, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not marrying that lady.
Yeah. And just to talk about our floor, but I think Penny is starting to realize she came on as like very sunny and energetic and extremely helpful. But I think that's only taking her so far.
Let's instead of just talking about other folks, let's talk about our own journeys in here.
Okay.
Because there's been a variance of experiences here, and I think that we can talk intelligently about our own stuff. And while we're adulating the progress of someone else, let's talk about ourselves here a little bit. Like, I used to be horrible at engaging in any sort of personal. I was an air traffic controller in the Marine Corps, and I came from the B2B world. It was like very factual, bam, 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 bam. I could not build rapport for the life of me, right? I could build acolytes in a business because they knew that this was going to help them look good. But really, when it came to talking, like, you want to talk about fishing, I tell clients, I'm not interested in talking about that. I'm interested in helping you. And then I move on. And that wasn't really, I was losing a lot of sales because of it. But I also didn't know how to modulate my tone. I was very factual. I was very stuff like that. I mean, I had to go, it took me a couple of years, I think it was, just to get my greeting
All
down.
of us, I mean, I was same thing, B2B, I didn't know, I didn't even know if I could talk on the phone all day long, and you
And little
eventually.
did we know the hell that we unleashed on the market. No, you can, dude, this guy right here can talk about anything, and he's great at it.
No, thank you. Well, one thing you have to establish that I found out early on, you have to establish yourself as an authority. You're an insurance agent. You're a professional. And you need to set that. You need to basically let the client know, okay, you got somebody on the phone that knows the stuff. They're going to take care of you. You're an insurance agent. You have a fiduciary responsibility. You have to be honest. And it's the trust factor. It starts with that, because you get the bubbly person on the phone. Okay, does this person really know what they're doing?
Right.
They don't sound professional. And there's a time you have to change it up. Yeah, absolutely right. Prepared statement, professional. Medical questions, professional. Anything medical, you have to be firm and professional. They get on the phone with an underwriter, there's no sense of humor there, and you have to kind of prep them for that. I always say, look, we can joke around. You can tell me anything. You get on the phone with the underwriter. There's no joking.
They're not your friends.
Yeah.
They're not there. Yeah, they're there to get you declined.
They ask you if you had.
Not really. I mean, they're there to look out for the interest and make sure that everything's applied for and steady. They're making sure that nothing's going through that shouldn't be going through.
Yeah. I mean, you have a joint replacement. Well, I'm sure I'm going to need some somewhere down the road. Decline.
Yeah.
You have to sort of prep them on that. It's serious business. These questions are yes and no. Don't expound. They'll try to lead you down a rabbit hole. These are yes and no.
Yeah.
Stick to the question.
So let's talk about a specific though. I mean, like when you started, I think it was back in 2011.
2011, yeah.
Let's talk about where you were when you were first getting into conversation. Like, what was the context of, like, before I got in here, of what part of the conversation you were talking about that needed that variation or stuff like that?
I'm like a goldfish.
Okay. So
I've talked since.
let's talk about a specific thing in your conversation that's evolved in this line of thinking.
Well, our format when we first started, we had setters. I started as a setter, and then we had agents in front of us. And a lot of what I picked up was through osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
There was some good, there was some bad, there was some wrong. But I did learn some good fresh, that sounds pretty good. I think I'm going to use that. Or, that sounds really professional. I'm going to incorporate that. And over time, I struggled, getting the conversations rolling, good talking points. And, whole different format, coming from B to B. I mean, it was completely different. And over time, you just kind of have to learn, become a human, really. It's like you're sitting on the front porch and you're having a conversation with somebody. You have to really, you stop thinking about the sale, start thinking about having a conversation and engaging this person, try to figure out what makes them tick, say a little bit of something about yourself and your family, what's going on in your life, and it's a back and forth relationship building. It's an art. It takes a while. I mean, it took me a while, so that was, it's just, it takes a lot of practice and listening. Really have to listen to the client and have a lot of empathy.
Now,
So
I can tell you my exact moment.
that's exactly, I was about to say. what
Yes,
exact-
I know. I can tell you my exact moment. So I'm back here about 3 years or so, about a year and a half ago. I finally got to sit in between him and him, where it was just us three. Never happened before. Ever since I started, I never, ever worked under Brad. I never sat for him. I never did any of that. So I never got to work with Brad. If I had certain questions, I'd ask him, yeah, but I didn't get to get a lot of his knowledge. So about a year and a half ago, when we were moving desks, kind of where we are now, Brad sat there, I sat here, Frank sat here. It was just us three.
Dude party.
Dude, more dudes.
Love it.
Always more dudes.
Testosterone flow.
But that's when it finally hit.
Yeah.
Because one day we talked about inflection. And I go, I'm going to do it. I don't care if I look stupid. I'm going to do it. And my first 5 voicemails, I pulled out the mirror and I watched my mouth go up and down. My mouth hurt after 10 minutes. I was that psychopath leaving a voicemail. Like I was going to, not truly, but when it got to the point where it's like, I need you to call me back. It was like, or your family's going to get murdered.
Right.
Type of voicemail, right? Where they're like, damn, like, yeah, I'm going to call this guy back.
Right.
But guess what? It worked. And so then I go, well, if that worked, what if I do it during the call?
Right.
And I go, okay. Mirror came back out. When I started closing, I started looking at myself, not looking at the screen, not looking at the numbers. We do the final expense. Okay, this is what final expense is. I'm saying it to myself as I'm watching myself, but I want to see my inflection go from happy to sad to serious to we need to get this done.
That's why we provide mirrors.
Mirrors. Well, now we have cameras, and I keep mine up on my top tab, so it's
Right.
high level with me. But it sounds very what's the word I'm looking for? Like self-centered, to like want to watch yourself as you work.
Like it's narcissistic.
Yeah, like narcissistic, but it helps.
Yeah.
At least it helped me. But that was my big turnaround, was when I got to sit in between you guys and I'm like, okay, I'm picking up what you're doing. I'm picking up what you're doing. Let me put my spin on it and have my own little combination to everybody. And then boom, clicked, ran with it. So mine wasn't necessarily something, I mean, the inflection thing helped a lot, but it was really the catalyst to it all was sitting in between you guys.
So I have a question for you.
Mhm.
About 3 years, just coming up on 3 years in the business. We just went to the 8% conference. We met a lot of good people, a lot of actually really proficient, effective people there.
Mhm.
But where would you put yourself, like on the whole scope of people that you saw? Because this is the first time you've ever been exposed to a lot of agents at once.
Mhm.
And you saw the gambit of, I'm just starting this and got my license a few
The
months
gamut.
ago. The gamut?
Gamut. Yeah. Not the gambit. It's the gamut. The gamut. That's the amount.
So,
Are you saying pan?
anyway.
Gamut. I had to correct you. Sorry. Frank.
Well,
Damn.
damn
No damn
So-
bit.
All right. So there are agents
All right,
that are
yes.
there are agents that are freshly hatched, and then there are agents that are 30, 40 years in. So where would you put, after having those detailed conversations with yourself, I want you to be honest with yourself.
Mhm.
Where would you put yourself right now as far as proficiency, as far as what you would see in the outside world in years?
Oh, that 30 to 40. So they've been doing
Right.
it for that long. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about advanced concepts and actually swinging with those guys, and they're like, oh, that's great. And they're also teaching you stuff, and you can recognize what they're talking about.
Mhm.
That's a big thing. right? And the reason you're able to do this is because you're able to go, these other things work from these other guys, and you're actually being exposed to it. But that's a huge thing, is that inflection. I mean, remember the old voicemail drills?
Yeah.
Right? You gotta start off like Billy Mays, 2:00 in the morning. Hey, everybody! And then you gotta get real deep. Hey, man, you need to call me back.
Mhm.
And you gotta keep. I mean, no, seriously, a good greeting or a good voicemail has a similar tract as far as inflection as a heartbeat. It goes up, starts off high, then it goes down, goes back high again, and goes low, and then it kind of evens out in the middle, and that's where you end up with your numbers.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
You know, you can have a sentence and say it 5 or 10 different ways and have different meanings,
Right.
and people understand it a different way. You know, it's real art for that.
Right. So you want to know what my specific one, my biggest impact was?
What's that?
Because I was so procedural in mindset when I first came on here, and I had come from a really professional environment. I followed the first part of the script. Originally, it was a little bit different, and we were so new, and we were actually trailblazing for an industry where we were getting a ton of leads in, a lot, more than we could ever handle, right? Because we were the only show in town when it came to internet generation. And people would respond to ads and click on stuff saying, save money on your Medicare supplement plan J. So that was reflected in the script. Hey, I'm reaching out to you because we got your request to help save money on your Medicare supplement. Now I'm going to click, but they were just on the website, right? And so then I was around other guys, and I was seeing them get engaged, and they were getting engaged in conversation, being very affable. But then they'd get further along than I did, but they still wouldn't make a sale, or they wouldn't build the trust, or they couldn't get into like further discovery. And I was having that problem, and I emulated them too, right? And then I kind of went back, and I was like, went back to controller days. Bam, just started asking questions. Did better, didn't get there. It wasn't until I was able to go, okay, I need to start off on this fun, need to establish what I needed to accomplish or the reason I'm getting there, but it needs to be broader than what I'm talking about now, right? So it ended up turning into, I got your request for help with Medicare, right? And I'm a Medicare specialist, and I'm here to help. And then eventually I wouldn't really hear anything, and they'd be like, I'm good, bye. Or they'd be like, but then I just eventually started counting my head. I go, well, let's just make it a little awkward. And then I would drop my voice and go, so what do you need? And then they went, oh. And that was the biggest thing for me. I got your request for help with Medicare. I'm a Medicare specialist in Montana. I'm here to help. So what did you need? And that was the big breakthrough for me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And because I went from nice to, now you're wasting my time and I'm a professional. What do you want? And then they went up, and then they just kind of regurgitated what they were trying to do, or that they were sorry for taking.
You scared it out of them.
Well, no. What they were doing was they were expecting a pitch. They were like, okay, who's this sugary sweet kid trying to get me to? What else is he going to say to try to convince me that they're a good person? And really, that's what it was. They're trying to say, how is this moron on the other side of the phone going to convince me that they're a good person when we all know what this is, right? And eventually when I said, I'm not going to convince you of anything, you asked for my help. What do you want? And I kind of looked at it, and I started thinking about it like other situations where, like, imagine if you're working in an emergency room and someone comes in, because I know I've been clumsy enough and dumb enough in my life. I've spent enough time in emergency rooms. And if you go up to that counter, that nurse is going to go, hi, welcome, how can I help you? And then if you just stand there, they're going to go, what? Because they're busy. They got a line for me. And then people are like, oh, yeah, well, I think I ate something. But great, process it. So there's that thing, and that tonality difference matters, and you can do it in a single sentence.
I remember when you started doing that, and your success level skyrocketed.
You were there you had just started when I first started experimenting with it. I mean, and by the way, that was my first $1 million year. It was 2011 when you started. Mm-hmm. That was how big that was. I was doing okay. My first year, I did about 300 and something sales, which is kind of normal for us.
Back then,
But then to immediately jump to over 600 issued policies, immediate. It's that's why I'm like, I know that was my big thing. That was the huge jump. So, I mean, I love the fact that I came in here. I'm sorry I came in late, but I love the fact that I came into this because that ties into one of the things where I can go, when I started doing my greeting like this and I incorporated these 3 things, game changer.
Your first 30 seconds are so critical.
Well, here's what's funny. Out of all of what we just kind of shared for each other, what did we do? We looked to improve ourselves. You have to be. There are so many. Every single person watching this, go ask for help. Ask for somebody. How did I sound on that?
Mm-hmm.
Did that sound weak? How did my tone sound? So many people are so afraid to ask for help and look dumb.
And by the way, don't fight the opinion that someone is
Yes, they're not
Because
attacking
if you
you.
start defending it, then I'm going to stop offering it.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't have time to get over your preconceived notions or your defense mechanisms. I'm here to make money.
Well, one of the things, so I just wanted to add my transformation. I come from education, so I taught for 20 years. So I did all the talking. So when I first started in 2019, it was 80-20, me doing all the talking. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm a smart guy. I sound professional. I'm giving them all this education. Why is nobody buying? I was like lower, and then I get a little bit better, but it's an incremental increase. And then I met one of my mentors at the other place who said, because it's 80-20 you, it needs to be 80-20 them.
That's right.
You're fine, dude. But you're not going to get any sales if they don't tell you what they want. You're not allowing them to speak because you're educating them and you're over-educating them, and you don't even know if it's sticking or if it's relevant. And so I'm like, that's crazy. So all I did was I made a mental note to just make one point at a time, ask one question at a time, and just not try to overstimulate them, just listen, respond. And the rapport building that I did, it wasn't, oh, this is me. It's, let's talk about you, Oh, you're from Philadelphia? I'm from Philadelphia. Instead of me talking about my history of Philadelphia, it's like, oh, I'm from Philadelphia. Tell me, what are some great places that you go to? Or, oh, dude, just a minuscule change. And it's so common sense. But it took me 2 to 3 months to realize. And I went from a mediocre salesman to top 2 in the company just by that one tweak. It was just a simple switch.
It's like a first date.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My salary, if the guy's doing all the talking on the first date, that date is not going well.
Right.
It's just not.
You know what else is funny too? That you really said that sticks with me. And Kim, how many times have I told you this? And kind of being a little mentor here. Only ask one question at a time.
Yeah.
Never ask multiple questions. Or ask a question, then ask a question, then ask a question, and then expect one answer for all 3.
Yeah.
These people that we work with on a daily, you have to remember, for some, they're old. You forget stuff. I forget stuff. But if somebody's asking me 3 questions wrapped in one, you're never going to get an answer. That's just like if I asked everybody for dinner, hey, I'm taking everybody out for dinner. Do you want tacos? Do you want pizza? Do you want sushi?
I don't
Do you
I'm
want
done.
to?
Just
I don't know.
choose. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
not
You
talking.
don't. The second I got to your second option, and again, inflection and tone too. Once you get to the second option, that question's over with. Michelle does that to me all the time. She's like, "Do you want to do this, 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 this?" And I'm like, "Just ask one at a time, and we'll go from there."
Right.
Okay. Do you want pizza? No, you don't want pizza. Cross that off the list.
Right.
Next, do you want tacos? Yes. Done.
There's also another dynamic in that situation where I know what you're doing ultimately, especially when it comes to, you guys have plans going on, there's supposed to be some trips happening, and like you come up with one suggestion at a time over and over again until eventually she's just going to tell you what she wants to do.
Mhm.
I know you're doing that.
Or-
It's a smart move.
Oh, there's sales tactics at home.
Right.
There's sales tactics in relationships, inflection, what you have to do. Yeah.
Always good
Yeah.
information.
Medigap Jesus comes out sometimes at home.
Everything is
When
sales.
I got to turn on the sales brain. Yeah.
Everything is sales. So Kim, let's talk about one of your experiences. What's been an inflection point for you recently?
Well, as y'all have been sharing, I've been trying to come up with something, and I think my answer is I'm just still in the middle of, I've been doing the Medicare thing for a couple of years. At home, I did have a mirror right next to my desk, and I was looking at myself and watching how, so that did help. And it's a whole different ballgame. I just learned something else new today that I never knew before, that we can start a supplement policy today. It doesn't have to be on the 1st. Everything was always on the 1st. So I'm still just in the learning phase and trying to I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. When I came in here, it's been off season. So it's kind of like, let's see what happens when really like it's an annual election period and we're doing supplements and we're rocking and rolling and then I think it might be a little bit easier to pinpoint.
Let's talk specifically about inflection and the way that you talk to people, because that's been the narrative of this conversation.
Right.
Since you came here, I know that you've also gone through an evolution in this concept as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's led to you actually getting on a good streak at one point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't mind me just saying, I remember when you were having a hard time, you got in your head and then you started being sugary sweet and asking people permission on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
then,
started saying ma'am and sir every sentence.
right. And then, but there was that one period where I remember I just don't really, I was set on, I was like, Kim, I would task you to go try to make someone angry on this call.
Mm-hmm.
So you just be mad, be like a mom telling a kid. And then you did it. You didn't make a sale on it, but the person wasn't yelling at you. They weren't mad at you, and you weren't even mean to them or curt to them. You just were normal, great Kim. I thought I think the next week you ended up doing really well. Now you just won Agent of the Month last month. This hasn't been like a year ago. This has been like, it's about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, weeks, yeah.
So, those are things that maybe you don't realize it, but we do recognize those things happen where those little bitty changes just in the way you deliver a message, or the little thing of like just saying, I will be on the same level as you. I am not here to be below you. I'm not here to be your Medicare maid, right? Or your Medicare butler. I'm here to help you.
And I can say that there's been, I have had issues with people rambling and letting them control and not having the gumption to just say, hey, stop, listen to me. And so
That right there was brilliant.
I did that yesterday.
If you
I
notice,
still have to-
everybody here,
Yeah.
everybody, all the men,
Yeah.
every man in this room just puckered a little bit. He goes,
Look in your
when your
eyes.
voice
Look
came
in your
out,
eyes.
yes.
I can be scary.
Yes.
Grab the steering wheel for a second.
Like, yes, ma'am.
We need to get back to
So I'm getting better at that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's
The way
good.
you actually looked at Griff's like, look at me. And you're like, whoa.
I was like,
That was fantastic.
Like you know, the funny thing is me and Penny just had this conversation on that lady she was on the phone with, because she kept going off about this financial, not even advisor. It's just basically a company that has her checkbook, that runs her checkbook for her. And she's like, well, this Guardian. And I'm like, okay, we've already addressed that. Like, tell her, I know what that is. And 5 minutes later, this Guardian plan that I have.
The lady.
And then she said it again, like later, I finally had to tell Penny, I'm like, tell her, stop bringing this up. That is not your health care. We are looking at your health care. If I can help with that later on the road, sure.
Mhm.
That's not health care.
Question, if she has a guardianship, is she capable of making a decision on her own?
Yes.
Just want to check on that. Because sometimes.
Usually guardianship is followed with the power of attorney.
And court-ordered guardians in there, like, you just can't make your own decisions.
It wasn't it was more of her family kept stealing from her.
Wow, that's sad to hear.
So type of situation. But that was one where Penny, Penny, just sweet Penny, always trying to find the daisy in the concrete, just growing. So, oh my God, this is great. And I'm like, girl, you need to get mean.
Yeah.
Because this is your time.
We're not mean, just.
Well, not mean, but stand up for yourself. Yeah.
Firm is the right.
just get firm, maintain a decent boldness.
Mhm.
They used to say in the sales books. You have to be, you can't be wishy-washy and, flower on the wall. I mean, you have to be bold what you do. Again, you're a professional here. It's like you're an attorney. You go to an attorney's office, you're going to tell him what to do, and, no, he's going to tell you what to do.
Right.
And
this is my time.
And you're the professional. They're coming to you for help.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to tell them how it is in a nice way. You can always throw a little chuckle in there too, kind of soften it up. But yeah, I mean, you have to, know, is this okay with you? Or no, this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
As your advisor, this is what we're doing.
What we're trying to do is build a healthy relationship.
Yes.
That's what it is. And a healthy relationship has expectations met, expectations needed. You can meet the expectations of the other person. You need your expectations met. There are promises and boundaries, right? And one of those boundaries is, I got to do this my way. That's it.
For this to work.
And we're going to be,
We're hanging up.
and me personally, I am not interested in getting into any relationship that isn't one of equals. Not interested in it. So why would I be interested in conducting business as someone else's, kicking boy, or really even conducting business as someone that just gets bowled over? I know that person that will never say no to anyone will not say no to the next person that talks to them. So I'm not interested in that relationship either.
We're Medicare gurus, not Medicare geishas.
Boo.
I thought of that
Boo.
10 minutes ago as being underlings. I'm like, we're not a geisha, we're guru. We are here to control the situation, not be told what to do.
Also, too, because we're already at 1 o'clock. This is my next $1 million idea from when we started on here. This is also trademarked. So if you, this is a verbal trademark here. I know Medicare supplements, you don't do commercials, and we talked about commercials yesterday and stuff. Man, for some reason in the shower this morning, because our music playlist is it's a giant mix. So it went from a Rob Zombie, that Dragula song, to the next song was a George Michael song.
No kidding.
It was Freedom.
Oh, okay.
And I go, man, this would be a great song for a supplement commercial. And then I just ran it in my head like one of the diabetes commercials where the people are eating ice cream and everything. And it's like, this will be, da-da-da-da. And it's like, diabetes is fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Like one of those are like, man, Freedom would be such a good song for like a Plan G commercial.
Out there.
Yeah. But Frank, do you have anything to?
Any final
I
thoughts?
have nothing.
Any final thoughts? Kim?
I'm glad you could come in, Frank.
Yeah, me too. No, I'm good.
Good. Everybody's good?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for joining us again. Go to InsureSales and InsureLink.com. Have a great rest of your day and go sell something.